Hi guys, I am back for Wednesday's math lesson, and today we're actually going to be moving on over to page 245. So if you have that available, hopefully you do, go ahead and have a pencil, a paper, and page 245 out and ready. Or if you want to keep things neat and tidy, you can keep it in your book, but we will be on page 245. So we're going to be starting something called order of operations, and some of you have heard this wonderful song I'm about to show you, but it is called PEMDAS, Don't Stress. And I love it. It's kind of annoying a little bit, but it helps you to know the steps of the order of operations. So I'm going to show this to you, and then we'll discuss it a little bit. Here we go. Let me make it bigger. There you go. P to the E to the P to the E to the P to the P, PEMDAS, don't stress. P to the E to the M to the D to the A to the S, PEMDAS, don't stress. Order of operations, a beautiful equation. You'll be hearing it. You'll be singing it soon. P to the M to the D to the A to the S, PEMDAS, don't stress. Order of operations, a beautiful equation. We always simplify parentheses first. That's why we're singing about it at the start of the verse. When an equation looks along, it might parentheses first. Simplifying the parentheses will reduce its girth. Exponents come up next on the list. Solve equations in this order and you will never miss. The exponent group also consists of the power and the roots. Now you're getting the gist. P to the E to the M to the D to the A to the S, PEMDAS, don't stress. Order of operations, a beautiful equations. P to the E to the M to the D to the A to the S, PEMDAS, don't stress. Order of operations, a beautiful equations. Multiply or divide in the order. Multiply and divide in the order it appears. One more step and the answer will be clear. And now it's finally time for us to add, subtract. And then add and subtract in the order it appears. That comes first should be the first to be unpacked. Parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, add and subtract. This is how we get it right. Parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, add and subtract. This is how we get it right. P to the E to the P to the E to the P to the P, PEMDAS, don't stress. Okay, so you will literally be singing that song all day long. You're welcome. Go to page 245 in your math books, and we are looking at the order of operations. So the order of operations, just like that little video just showed you, the first step is parentheses. We are going to simplify whatever is in parentheses first. Then we go to exponents. They call them powers here. If you want to follow along with the PEMDAS word, you want to use exponents. Powers and exponents mean the same exact thing, okay? So parentheses first, then exponents, then you multiply and divide in the order they appear, so from left to right. So I do this little arrow here, and I do multiply and divide in the order they appear. Then you add and subtract in the order they appear. So that means if a subtraction comes first, you'd subtract before you add. Let's look at this example we have here. We have 6 plus 3 minus 2 times 2 squared minus 5 divided by 5. What? Sometimes we kind of see these problems and you're like, you probably have even gotten some on Excel. And you're thinking, what in the world do I do first? Well, according to our handy dandy PEMDAS thing here, we do what is in parentheses first. So if we have 3 minus 2, we're going to do 3 minus 2 first. Okay, and every single time you solve something, rewrite the problem. It's going to look like a little upside down triangle when you get done. So 3 minus 2 is 1. So we've solved that one. Then we move on to exponents. Do we have any exponents here? We sure do. We have 2 squared. Well, 2 squared is 4. So
we're going to rewrite everything else the way that it was, and we're going to now use 2 squared, or make 2 squared to say 4. Then we do multiplying and dividing in the order they appear. Well, if we look here, this is the one we're looking at. We have a multiply here, and we have a divide. Well, we have a multiply here. They didn't do the dividing yet. So 1 times 4 is 4, and we've got it here. Now we have a divide coming up. Here's a divide, right? So we have 6 plus 4 minus 5 divided by 5. We can't do 4 minus 5 until we do 5 divided by 5, which is 1. Then we add and subtract in the order they appear. Well, we have an adding here, so 6 plus 4 is 10, okay? And then we're going to subtract 10 minus 1 is 9. Now, if that's confusing, don't worry. We're going to be doing several of them today, and you guys are going to be pros with this very, very soon. Let's look here. It says a minus pi r squared. We simplify before we multiply, right? We would do r squared before we did anything else. Okay, and then simplify powers before multiplication. Well, if we had 2/3 squared, we just take it in steps. 2 squared is 4, 3 squared is 9, so it becomes 4 over 9, or 4 ninths. In the equation, you guys have been doing this without even knowing it, because we have this equation right here. P equals 2L plus 2W, the perimeter of a rectangle, right? And we've always multiplied before we added. We just haven't even thought about it, right? Just a second nature to us. So we would multiply first, and then we would add. We would multiply 2L, we would multiply 2W, and then we would add them both together. Okay, so let's go ahead and practice. It says find the answers. Now, I want you to be writing these. Each time you do something new, go down a line. These first ones, it's not going to be very much, okay? So first one, we have 5 times 7 plus 2 in parentheses. What do we do first? According to PEMDAS, I'm going to go ahead and write it here again. PEMDAS, called the order of operations. We do parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide in the order they appear, add, and subtract in the order they appear, left to right. So if you said that we're going to do 7 plus 2 first, you are absolutely right. What is 7 plus 2? It is 9. So 5 times 9 is 45. Now, if we did this where we did 7 plus 5, or 7 times 5 first, that's 35, plus 2 is 37, and that would be the wrong answer. So you just see why it's important to do the order of operations first, or do them in order. Letter B, 12 divided by 4 plus 2 times 3. Well, we know the very first thing we need to do is do parentheses. So we're going to leave everything else the same. 12 divided by 4 plus 2 is 6 times 3. Ooh, we're kind of in a predicament here because we have a multiply and a divide. But if we listen to what the video says, we do dividing first in the order they appear. We multiply and divide in the order they appear. So we're going to do 12 divided by 6 first, which is 2. Now 2 times 3 is 6. It's very important that you do these step by step and you take them in the order that they appear. Okay, letter C. I have 16 divided by 2 squared. Do I do dividing first or do exponents first? If you said exponents, 100% correct. Good job. So 2 squared is 4. 16 divided by 4 is 4. Good. You guys are doing great with this. I can just tell. Letter D. Now, letter D looks like it could be easy, but let's look at it. We have 3 times 2 plus 6 times 4. What am I going to do first? So go back to my PEMDAS. What am I going to do first? I'm going to multiply first. Multiply and divide in the order they appear. Okay, so I'm going to multiply 3 times 2 first because that's what comes first. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 6 times 4. Now, am I going to do 6 plus 6 or 6 times 4? I'm going to do 6 times 4, which is 24. So 6 plus 24, and I get 30, and you should get 32. Good job. Okay, let's do one more together, and then I'm going to have you guys pause and do the rest. So I have 12 times 2 plus 6 divided by 3. According to PEMDAS, what do I do first? If you said exponents, you are 100% correct. So I'm going to do exponents first. 12 times 2 plus, what are my exponents? 6 divided, not exponents, parentheses, excuse me. 6 divided by 3 is 2. Good. So am I going to do 12 times 2 or 2 plus 2 first? 12 times 2, because I have to do multiplying before I do adding. 12 times 2 is 24. 24 plus 2 is 26. Excellent. Okay, pause. Try F, G, and H. Come back and see how you did. Okay, so check F, G, and H. With F, you needed to do 5 times 6 first, which is 30. Then 30 divided by 3, which is 10. And then 10 divided by 5 is 2. With G, you needed to do 2 times 6 first. 7 plus 12 is 19. And then H, you should have done 6 divided by 3 first. 9 minus 2 is 7. Great. Let's move on. It says square each fraction by multiplying it by itself. Okay. So on A, if I'm going to multiply this guy by itself, that means I'm going to do 2/3 times 2/3. When we are multiplying fractions, do I have to have a common denominator? I mean, I do in this case, but do I have to? Nope. When you multiply fractions, all you do is multiply across. Okay, so what is 2 times 2? 4. And what is 3 times 3? 9. You're done. 4 nines. Excellent. Okay, let's look at B. I have 1/2 times 1/2. 1 times 1 is not 2, it is 1, and 2 times 2 is 4. So 1/2 squared is 1/4. Letter C, 3/4 times 3/4. Well, 3 times 3 is 9, and 4 times 4 is 16. So 3/4 square is 9/16. Okay, pause, do D and E, and come back and check. Okay, D should have been 5/7 times 5/7, which is 25/49. And E, 1/4 times 1/4 is 1/16. Okay, let's move on to number 4. We're going to go ahead and skip over number 3 since we haven't done those yet. We'll come back to them eventually down the road. Okay, so let's look at complete the chart. I have a radius of 7 inches and I need to find circumference and area. What can I do for circumference? There's 2 different formulas you can use for circumference. Circumference equals, that's right, pi times diameter, or circumference equals 2 times pi times radius. Well, my favorite is pi times diameter, but they've only given us radius. How can I solve that? Could I just use 2 times pi times radius? I can. I'm going to go ahead and do that. So letter A, I have circumference equals 2 times pi times radius. Circumference equals 2 times 3.14, good, times 7. I'm going to do 2 times 7 first because that's one that I know right off the top of my head. C equals 14 times 3.14. And then I'm going to multiply. 3.14 times 14. 4 times 4 is 16, carry the 1. 1 times 4 is 4, plus 1 is 5. 3 times 4 is 12. Come down here, put my place marker. 1 times 4 is 4, 1 times 1 is 1, and 1 times 3 is 3. Add those up. Sorry, that is not a 10, that is a 9. And we get 43.96. So my circumference equals 43.96 what? Inches. Excellent. Let's do the second circumference. Actually, I want you to try the second circumference. Pause and come back. Okay, check mine with yours. Did you get 75.36 centimeters? Awesome job. If you didn't, pause, work it out again. Check mine with yours. See where the mistake was made. Practice makes progress. You guys are doing a great job practicing. So now we're going to move on to area. What is the area of a circle? The area equals pi times radius squared. So let's look at A. I have area equals pi r squared. area equals 3.14 times 7 squared. Now with PEMDAS, what am I going to do first? Right, I'm going to do 7 squared first. Area equals 3.14 times 49. Let's multiply it out. 3.14 times 49. 9 times 4 is 36. 9 times 1 is 9, plus 3 is 12. 9 times 3 is 27, plus 1 is 28. 4 times 4 is 16, carry the 1. 4 times 1 is 4, plus 1 is 5, and 4 times 3 is 12. Hopefully, I think you can see it. 6 plus 2 is 8. 5 plus 8 is 13. 5, 1, and I have 2. 100, so area equals 153.86 square inches because it's area. Good. You know what I'm going to say. Pause it and try the second one. Okay, area equals 452.16 square centimeters. Go ahead and turn your paper over for me. And tonight, if you must know, your assignment that I'm going to give you for tonight is going to be all of number 5. Number C does go in evenly. Okay, so we're going to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and H. Don't forget, work this out on paper, then go to Google Classroom under Arithmetic 6, go to the assignment for tonight and fill out the assignment for tonight. Now, if you get several wrong, you are able to go in a second time and only 2 times, and you are able to go in and try to correct that assignment. So please, there's only 8 of them tonight. So if you missed, let's say 3 or more, I'd like you to go back into that assignment and fix the ones that you missed. Okay, you can resubmit 1 extra time, so you can do a total of 2 times. You guys are doing really great with it. Let's move on to this part of the review, number 7. Now, number 7 says, answer these measurement problems. 15 seconds is how many minutes? Well, you're probably thinking to yourself, wait a second. 15 seconds is not even 1 minute, and you would be right. But how many seconds are in 1 minute? If you said 60, excellent job. If you have 15 out of those 60 minutes, let's see what you have. You have 15 60ths. Now we could leave it like this, but I would like to reduce. So what's the greatest common factor of 15 and 60? If you said 5, you could try 5. There's a bigger one, but 5 would work and you could keep dividing. If you said 15, you are 100% correct. So if we would divide by 15, we would get 1/4. 15 seconds is 1/4 of a minute, and it's a little bit small, but you could still see it. So 15 seconds is 1/4 of a minute, or 25% of a minute, or 1/4 of a minute. It's not very long. Let's go to letter B. 1/4 of a year is how many months? Well, how many months are in a year? 12, right? And we have 1/4 of the 12 months. What does that of mean we're going to do? Right, multiply. So we're going to do multiply. Remember, multiplying by 1/4 is the same thing as dividing by what? By 4. Multiplying by 1/4 is the same thing as dividing by 4. So 12 divided by 4 is 3. Good. 1/4 of a year is 3 months. Okay. Letter C, I have 1/8 of a pound is how many ounces? Well, what do you think we need to know first? How many ounces are in a pound? Yes, ounces are in a pound. 16 ounces in a pound. And if we have 1/8 of the 16 ounces, of means multiply. Multiplying by 1/8 is the same thing as divided by 8. Good, so 16 divided by 8 is 2. 1/8 of a pound is 2 ounces. If you're confused with this, go back and listen to the reasoning. Sometimes we get stuck in, wait, that's not a whole measurement, or wait, that's not what I learned. But we have to take what we know and apply it to these problems. Okay, Letter D, I have 3/4 of a gallon is how many quarts? Well, how many quarts are in a gallon? 4 quarts are in a gallon. And if I have 3/4 of the 4 quarts, what do I have? Think about it. If you have 3/4 of 4 holes, I know you can see my hand. I have 1, 2, 3, 4 holes. And if I have 3/4 of those holes, how many do I have? I have 3, and I'll show you another way to do this. But 3/4 of a gallon is 3 quarts. And I could have said 3/4 times 4/1 and canceled, and I would have gotten 3. Okay. Letter E, half of a bushel is how many pecks? Well, how many pecks are in a bushel? Remember, this one was where I had you say, okay, the word peck and the word bush both have 4 letters. So there's 4 pecks in a bushel. And if I have half of those 4 pecks, how many pecks do I have? I have 2. Half of 4 is 2. Very good. Half of a bushel is 2 pecks. Letter F is going to make something where we're really more familiar of. 6 feet is how many inches? Well, if I have 6 feet, I'm going from, what's bigger? From feet to inches, I multiply. And how many inches are in a foot? 12. And if I have 6 of those, 12 times 6, which is, that's right, 72 inches. Awesome. Okay, 2 years is how many months? We can kind of just talk this through, right? How many months are in 1 year? 12. And how many years do we have? 2. So what's 12 times 2? 24. Excellent. 3.5 hours is how many minutes? Okay, let's work this out on paper. How many minutes are in 1 hour? If you said 60, excellent job. And I have 3.5 of those 60. Or I have 3.5 times 60. Can I change that 3.5 to something? I sure can. I can change that 3.5 to 3.5. So I'm going to do 60 times 3.5. And you do it with me and see what you get. 210 minutes. And let's think about it. 3 hours is 60, 60, 60, 180. And another half an hour is 30. And 180 plus 30 is 210. So 210 minutes. Okay. 15 teaspoons is how many tablespoons? Little tiny teaspoons to bigger tablespoons. We're going to divide. How many teaspoons are in a tablespoon? Think about it. The letter T has 3 letters. So there's 3 teaspoons in 1 tablespoon. 15 teaspoons divided by 3 is how many tablespoons? 5 tablespoons. Awesome. And letter J, 3 feet is how many inches? Let's talk this one through. How many inches are in a foot? 12. And if you have 3 of those, 12 times 3 is 36. Letter K, 10 cups is how many pints? Now we need to know how many cups are in a pint. How many cups are in a pint? Good, 2 cups are in a pint. So if I have 10 cups and I need to divide them into 2 cup segments, how many pints do I have? I have 5 pints. Awesome. And the last one, 8 quarts is how many gallons? Oh, we already talked about how many quarts are in a gallon. 4 quarts in a gallon. And if I have 8 quarts, how many groups of 4 do I have? 2. Excellent. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Okay, let's quickly go through 8. We have round 125.398 to the nearest cent. Nearest cent means which place are we going to? The tenths, the hundredths, or the thousandths? And if you said hundredths, excellent job. So 9 is in the hundredths place. The 8 is the boss saying, hey, round up or stay the same. What does that 8 make that 9 do? It makes that 9 round up, but wait, it's a 9. What would it go to? You're right, we would look at the whole 39. What does 39 round to? 40, excellent. So we will have $125.40. Letter B, write the decimal equivalent of 2 1/4. 2 1/4 is, and we're going to do this linearly like we've been doing, 2 1/4% is a fractional percent. We're going to change it to a decimal percent, and then we're going to change it to a decimal. So 2 1/4% is 2.25%. You're probably way ahead of me already. Then we're going to change that to a decimal. We're going to move our decimal 2 times to the left, and we get 0.0225. Okay, letter C, change 337 over 1,000 to a decimal. Well, let's read it. 337 thousandths. 337 thousandths. Simple as that. Letter D, change to improper fractions. To change to an improper fraction, we do backwards C. 10 times 7 is 70, plus 1 is 71. Over what? My original denominator of 7. Good. 12 3/4. Backwards. 4 times 12 is 48, plus 3 is 51, over my original denominator, which is 4. 8 times 1 is 8, plus 5 is 13, over my original denominator of 8. Awesome. Okay. Challenge yourself to do the Roman numerals, but let's move on to letter F. Change to mixed numbers. Okay. So we're going to take these and we're going to say, ask ourselves with this first one right here, how many times does 4 go into 15? 4, 8, 12, 16. Oh, too many. How many times? Goes in 3 whole times. Oops. It goes in 3 whole times. 3 times 4 is 12. 15 minus 12 is 3. So we have 3 3/4. Pause, do the rest of those on your own and come back and check. Okay, 36/8 becomes 4 4/8, and we want to reduce that to 4 1/2. 92 over 7 becomes 13 1/7. And 121 over 12 becomes 10 1/12. Let's move on to letter G. It says round 5,254,307,098 to the nearest 10,000. Well, in order to do that, I need to find out which number's in the 10,000ths place. So we have ones, tens, hundreds, thousands, 10,000s. Oh, that's where we need to go, to the nearest 10,000. Zeros in the 10,000s place. 7 is the number that's going to be the boss and tell us, are you going to round up or stay the same? If it is a 7, he's a big boss, so he's going to make you round up. And everything to the left of the equation stays the same. So we're going to end up with 310,000. Okay. Letter H, find 3% of $6. Okay, we can do that. What do we have to do with that 3%? Change it to a decimal. Is it 0.3? No, it's what? 0.03. So we're going to do 0.03 times 6, and we get 18 cents. I had to look at it for a minute. I'm like, wait a second, is it $1.80? Nope, it's 18 cents. So we could say 0.18. 3% of $6 is 18 cents. Okay, let's move on. One more. Letter I, reduce to lowest terms. Ooh, sometimes these can be tricky, but we can do them. We have to ask ourselves, what is the lowest or the greatest common factor that goes into both 12 and 18? If you said 6, you are 100% correct. 12 and 18, we have 6 is the greatest common factor, and we end up with 2/3. Excellent. How about 24 and 36? What would be the greatest common factor of 24 and 36? 6 is a common factor. 8 is not. 9 is not. How about 12? Does 12 work? Yes, 12 works. So we're going to divide by 12. 24 divided by 12 is 2, and 36 divided by 12 is 3. Oh, we got 2/3 again. That's kind of funny. But it's 100% correct. Okay, the third one, 125 over 500. Remember, anytime we're talking about multiples of 25, I like to think of them as money. Could we divide by 25 even if we didn't know the greatest common factor in this one? Could we start dividing by 25s? Because you can think of it as like $1.25 and $5. You can. And I like to do that anytime we have multiples of 25, 100%, it's probably the easiest thing to do. So how many times does 25 go into 125? Or if you want to think about it, how many quarters go into $1.25? 5. Then think about it. How many times does 25 go into 500? Or how many quarters are in $5? If there's 4 quarters in $1 and you have 5 of them, what's 4 times 5? 20. Now listen, we didn't get a reduction all the way, but is that okay? We just keep going. What's my greatest common factor now between 5 and 20? It is 5. 5 divided by 5 is 1, and 20 divided by 5 is 4. So we get 1/4. So that means 125 was your greatest common factor. It's kind of cool. And then we get 33 over 93. What would be my greatest common factor? What does it look like it's going to be? You want to try 3? Let's try 3. 33 divided by 3 is 11. And 93 divided by 3 is, well, 3 goes into 9 3 times. 3 goes into 3 1 time. 11 over 31. They are both prime. So we know that's reduced all the way. Okay, guys, don't forget your assignment tonight is page 246, number 5, A through H. Do the assignment on paper, then go into Google Classroom and put, it's not extra work that you're doing. All you're doing is just picking your answers. And remember, if you didn't do so great, like if you didn't take your time or just something happened, go back and try it and you can resubmit it 1 extra time. So a total of 2 times. Okay, guys, have a great day. Goodbye.